mental block. You're not shooting your shot. You're not even like picking the ball up. So I want you to compete, because if you get over that and you go compete, you're going to tap into something you didn't realize was there. You're going to overcome that. If you can overcome that, then you can ask for the raise. I mean, that's a perfect example. Like if you're scared to compete, which we all have social anxiety, like if you're scared to compete and you don't, then you're going to deserve a raise and not be able to ask for it. And so, I mean, and that's just one example. So I want to help, as tacky as it sounds, like I want to help people be better versions, more confident versions of themselves. I want people to feel like that they can talk to me if they're having a problem, and they've earned that through their commitment to bettering themselves by coming into the gym. Jiu-jitsu is so hard, especially here. It's hard for me, like I come into the gym and get beat up by my students very, very often. I mean, I just have so many students that are just better than I am. And so like when you're in here every day training and something in life like hits you, like I'm not your coach, like I'm your friend. I'm part of your community. And I hope that you realize that you could be like, man, I got my ass kicked today. And like you haven't been in the gym all day, and I'm like, fuck, what happened? And they're like, man, like blah, blah, blah. And if I just listen to them, I'm like, man, like I don't know what to tell you. Like that does sound like a shit show, like maybe I have a suggestion, maybe I don't, but like I want to be there and like be able to do that. I think that's what, as far as the gym is concerned, that's what coaching and community is about. And the rest of it's just the medium we're using, which is jiu-jitsu. I could very easily be running a mountain bike club. I don't mountain bike, but like I could very easily be running a mountain bike club, and I would have members paying me monthly dues, and we would go on mountain bike trails together, and it would be the same formula. Like very few of these people are trying to be the best mountain bikers in the world, or the best mountain bikers they can be. They're looking for a way to work out, feel better about themselves, and be better versions of themselves. And how am I going to help them do that? That's going to be noticing them, giving them some attention. And then we have to walk that line too, where it's like people are like, look, here's this, I'm going to segue this into its own topic. People will sometimes compliment me on how much I do for others. I'm like, whoa, don't do that, because I'm charging these people. It's a little bit self-serving. Luckily, I enjoy talking to people, and I do want to connect dots and solve problems. If you get laid off, I've had so many students lose jobs, and I'm out there like messaging people on their behalf because I like to do that. Like I know everybody. Not everybody has a huge network. Well, I do, so I can make that happen. And so, but it is a little tough because, I don't want to sell family. Like, oh yeah, like we're a brotherhood and this and that. Like I want that to be organic, because a true family isn't charging for their services, but we're using this medium of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which has a requirement of mats, and we have to bring people in like we're doing today, and I have to eat. I wouldn't be here every day if it wasn't paying my bills. I would be here a lot, but if I didn't feel like coming, why would I come? Like there's a certain monetary thing that happens where if something's profitable, it lasts. And if it's not profitable, it dies. And so anyways, I think community is really important. I think caring about people is important. I believe in real teams. That's why it took me so long to actually affiliate with GF Team, because I was like phobic of the commitment, but then it just happened for so long that I was with them that I was like, well, now I'm just being stubborn, and I joined the team. But I do think we need to be, I do struggle with that as well. Like, how do you communicate? Because that's what people need. But how do you offer that to people? But at the same time, like you're charging them. So it's like I'm not selling jiu-jitsu. We're doing jiu-jitsu. Like I'm selling like a healthier way of living and some life skills that, like, in fighting is a life skill. Learning how to defend yourself is a life skill as well. So I don't know. It's a cool thing. But your original question, like, with how to help coaches with that, it's just notice people. Notice the people that are quiet and talk to them, not just to go, the extroverted people are going to talk to you, but some of these people are coming to class every day and they don't need nothing. And you need to go out and find them because they're just quiet. So they might they might have something going on, but you just take it for granted because they're not a squeaky wheel. So that's what I would recommend to coaches.
Cool. Okay, so we can maybe make this the last one. What about for you? So you were kind of talking about other people's motivations and how you see there's segments of motivations within the gym. There's different people who are.
Gotta love it, It's like you want to be that guy. It's like, could you just take the baby for a walk? Shut that baby up.
Tell that kid to be quiet.
Could you just politely tell the baby we're doing a podcast?
Yeah. We're just advocating for authenticity.
Yes.
That baby has no manners.
No, it doesn't.
For you personally, how have you seen your motivations evolve, or maybe evolve isn't the right word, because I know that, like, for myself, my motivations have had to change because the reasons I started doing martial arts and training got taken care of relatively quickly, and then the cost versus benefit became not worth it at various stages, and even as certain mile markers would be hit, like I can do this now, or I've done X now, or whatever. Not that I have some super impressive resume or anything, but just personal mile markers, It's easy it would be easy, I guess, if your motivations weren't changing all the time. So what have you seen change on the path with you from young Roli, who started and had certain motivations, and then surely it hasn't just changed one time?
No, yeah. Those things have changed like crazy.
Different steps. What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many of them. I wanted to have like just an amazing MMA gym. Well, me and Matt had bought a house once that we were going to use for people to travel through and stuff. And like, I want nothing to do with that now. Like TJ and Bryce are just kind of like outliers. I don't know how many more TJ and Bryces will ever have. And I wanted to fight in the UFC. I wanted to coach in the UFC. I've done that now. I can tell you, I don't want to do that every weekend. I don't want to travel and coach even at that level. That's not what I'm looking for. And so I'm not, I'm having to scale my time better. I can go to a AGF, right? We have one February 22nd. I can go and I'll coach 50 people in one day and sleep in my own bed. For one fighter, I lose a whole weekend. The weigh-in day, and then like the whole weekend's literally crap because you're babysitting the whole time. And so like I'm like, well, I do enjoy building fighters, but I also enjoy economic stability, and I get that through being able to coach 40 or 50 people in one day. And I enjoy jiu-jitsu a lot. Now I do enjoy MMA the most. It's my first love, and it's the most extreme. It's the skydiving of coaching, but. That's changed, and burnout too. You put a lot into people, and they may move off, or they may quit, or they may, things happen, and their goals change, and all your eggs are kind of in a few baskets with MMA. So that changed. I also I become more introverted as I've gotten older. Mostly this last year. I'm still an extrovert, but I'm finding myself a lot more just, really only wanting to be around a few key people that I can have real conversations with. Hence why, I've never turned down a podcast. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. It's going to be a good conversation. And so I enjoy those, and that's another change that I've seen. Retirement, realizing I'm never really going to retire. So kind of changing the focus on savings goals and living goals, and trying to be more liquid, a little more flexible. You have a bunch of gyms in Arkansas, a kid in Arkansas, at rental homes. You're not leaving Arkansas. Yes. Well, I may never leave Arkansas, but I'd like the ability to. Right. So if I wanted to,
they can still mail checks to you.
They can, and there's management companies, and there's you can be a silent partner in businesses. There's ways to do things, but I found that there's no such thing as, with the exception of real estate and the stock market, those are the only forms of passive income. And with a management company, that 10% is a really big number.
It's a big hit.
Yeah, and so the ROI on rental properties is just shit. When there's no appreciation in the market, rentals don't make sense.
Right.
You're better off having your money in the market, in my opinion. So, I'm constantly doing financial chess and surveying my life and being introspective and what do I really want, what's causing me stress, what's making me happy. And at this point, like, rental houses cause me stress. Dealing with people causes me stress. So real estate deals are making more sense instead of like buying and holding. Flipping makes more sense, or finding successful flippers and lending to them. So you're getting a good rate, but like secure loans on properties, like things of that nature are turning me on more. Hands-on things I'm kind of backing away from. Like,
it's funny, like that makes me think of something related to another jiu-jitsu analogy that I think we can make. So like you talked about being spread thin.
Yeah.
Last year, right?
Yeah.
And what it makes me think of in jiu-jitsu is the idea of pace, right? So learning the pace.
Hey, Bruno. But once the Brazilians start coming in, it'll be super loud.
So the idea of pace in jiu-jitsu when you're rolling, right?
Yeah.
So you spread yourself too thin if you roll too hard, right? And then, but you have to roll hard enough or somebody else is going to spread you, right?
Yeah.
Too thin on the ground, right? And so one way to find out where the edge is you spread yourself too thin, right?
That's
you push
right.
up against the edge, and then you're like, oh shit, this is too much. I gotta back up. And then, like, the more experience you get, you don't perfect pace. At least I mean, maybe some people do, not me. Like, there's some people I've seen who have really awesome pace, but the better you are at it, certainly the bigger skill gap there is between you and the person you're rolling at, the easier it is to dictate pace. And so maybe in relation to life, as you get more experienced, you start kind of some of the things that you're talking about, to me, sound like you're dictating pace. Does that sound?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
No, that's dead on. Because I told myself I was going to hit it hard. When I sold my pawn shop, I took a couple years. It felt like a couple years. I'm not sure how long it was, where I didn't really do anything but the gym. And then I was like, okay, it's time to get back to work, because these are income earning years. I'm not in the sage years, right? So said I'm going to hit it hard till I'm 40. And then, like, if it doesn't really shake out, like, I will not go to my deathbed wishing I went for things, and I'll still have time to enjoy my life. I had this nice plan. Well, I made it to 38 barely.
Right.
And I was like, all right, like, I'm not going to make it to 40. Because when I set my mind to something, I just go crazy. Right. I'm obsessed with ideas, and I just was obsessed, and I just started ripping and running. In like 2.5 years, opened 3 gyms and got my real estate license and, a couple other things, and it was just too much, So it is a pace. But yeah, like, I'm going to do the Houston Open, and so, like, I have to train hard. I have to walk a line. And, if you want to open a business, like, there's going to be, like, a bunch of regret through the process, because nothing's easy, and it's a pain in the ass, and there's headaches and red tape and drama and hidden expenses. And so, yeah, it kind of goes back to the beginning of the podcast, like, just, like, don't stop. Like, even if you get beat up, just make small little incremental things. And like jiu-jitsu, like, the tournament's coming up, it's a 5-minute match. Like, you gotta fucking go. There's no pacing yourself in a 5-minute match. Otherwise, you shouldn't have registered for the tournament. It's a 5-minute match. And it's like, well, I've been stressed out, and, like, I kind of watch the auctions for foreclosures, and a friend of mine was like, well, you don't need to buy another house right now. I'm like, yeah, but if it's a good deal, it's a good deal. Like, you can't, there's not enough good deals. We're all fighting over deals. So, like, timing is more important than idealistic plans. Like, I don't get to just set this money aside and do 4 flips this year. I might be lucky if I got 1 flip. I might be lucky if I got 2 flips. Maybe I get 4, who knows? But, like, they come when they come, and some slip through the cracks, and some get bid up, and you just miss your shot because you're there and your max bid's 80. You know, I just bought one that was 76,000, right? And my max bid was 76.5. And it started at 66. And then one guy, if he didn't show up that day, I got it for 66. And he took it to 76, you know? And it's like, but anyways, you know, like, it doesn't matter how stressed I am. Like, ultimately, like, people are like, well, why are you doing this? And it's like, well, I don't have a big inheritance waiting for me. Like, if I'm 38 years old, like, you know, yeah, I have to do it or it doesn't get done. And so I'm going to do that. And then I have to hedge that with, well, that's why you're unhappy, because you're spread too thin. And you know, when you're too busy, you want a little downtime. And when you have downtime, you think you're wasting your time. That's how my brain works.
Yeah. No, I know that feeling. Oh, man. All right. Well, now let's wrap it up.
Okay.
And let these people run around and make noise.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I really appreciate you setting time aside. Really, I know this weekend's super busy right now, and you're being pulled in 100 different directions. But we're going to go out here and train.
Hell yeah, man.
That's going to be cool.
There'll be a lot of people out here and a lot of black belts and a lot of good jiu-jitsu.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, true that people throw around world class, but with Pimenta and Vitor Oliveira here. Well, Mateus is here from Fayetteville. You know, he's a world champion, a purple belt adult. Like, just ridiculous amount of jiu-jitsu here today. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we're fortunate to be here.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks
man. It's my pleasure. We'll do it again if you'll have me.
Absolutely.